Welcome back to Pork Chops, Rice, and Peaches. I'm Richard.
I'm Noah.
And last night at my local B&B theater, shameless plug, once again I enjoyed the magic of the movies. And I mean, I haven't felt this way about watching a movie in a long time.
We're not sponsored. Could be sponsored.
So we go.
We went and watched Thunderbolts.
Yes, and I was a little bit unnerved. You called yesterday and you said, we've got to talk about this before we run the camera a little bit. And I said, don't say anything to, ruin the movie for me. And you didn't really. We rarely talk about these movies in advance, but I went in and I sat down. And for the first time since I don't know when, I got lost in the ride.
Okay.
This was not shut the brain down, consume content.
Yeah.
This was so thoroughly enjoy the characters, the performance, the script, the storyline.
All
that
right.
from the opening dialogue of the movie, I was hooked.
Really?
And the beautiful part about Thunderbolts is, and we've talked before, if we go into the way back machine of Pork Chops, Rice, and Peaches, because our opening episode was about
Thor Ragnarok.
Right? Yeah. All of my criticisms of where Marvel went with humor and how much I hated Thor Ragnarok because of that.
Yeah.
All of them were corrected in Thunderbolts.
Yeah.
It didn't miss a beat, including the Fat Santa reference, which was, you rarely hear me say, "Oh, there was an Easter egg in this movie." I mean, it was absolutely hysterical. I really don't have a complaint about this movie. It's a movie that okay. So here we go.
Are we getting spoilers? Are we going that off the bat?
No, not a spoiler.
Okay.
This is one of the best Marvel movies.
Okay.
This is very definitely in my top 5.
Okay. Woof. Okay. All right.
It is that good.
Okay.
So your thoughts. You saw it before I did. You called me. You said, where do you want to go?
Oh, man. So I went into this movie, and there's a couple thoughts I'll save. This is not the movie I was expecting it to be. It kind of was, and it kind of wasn't.
Okay.
But it was not the movie I expected it to be. So, man, it's going to be really hard to talk about this movie without getting into some spoilers, but I'll do this.
You know what?
I was pleasantly, but not everyone had.
Okay.
Yeah, you should go watch it.
You should stop viewing right now, go watch it, and then come right back.
And we'll get into, But this movie kind of shouldn't have worked as well as it did, and I was pleasantly surprised by that. So we entered this weird phase of Marvel. All right, I was pretty ready to call it quits with Marvel after Endgame. I wanted to watch Hawkeye. There was a couple projects that interested me. I mean, ironically, I think I was thinking about this yesterday. We kind of owe Marvel a little bit for this all existing, because go back into the way back machine when Iron Man first came out, and I was like 11. It's one of the first movies that actually got me interested in discussing movies more than, oh man, it was so cool that Iron Man, dodged a tank bullet and blew it up with his wrist thing and walked away. It was the first movie where the acting and the script and the performances and everything just kind of clicked into my prepubescent brain that was like, oh, there's more to movies than just explosions. But it still had enough explosions that I wanted to watch it. And obviously we went on a 10-year ride with Marvel up through Infinity War and Endgame. I was there for the premiere of the first Avengers movie, midnight releases for pretty much every movie after that.
Right, yes you did.
And the pre-releases. So Marvel was a big factor because it was kind of is compared to my generation's Star Wars, essentially.
Okay.
One of those you had to be there moments. So after Endgame, I was very, very ready to let it go and just see what they did. And I was really disappointed in it for the majority of it. There was a lot of stuff that I just didn't like. Black Widow was okay. It was fun. That was about it. Shang-Chi was okay. It was fun. That was about it.
Okay.
What was the other one? The Immortal People.
Oh, that was horrible.
Yeah, it was bad.
That was horrible. That was a bad movie.
It was a bad movie. And then there was Falcon and Winter Soldier was good. Mm-hmm. It was a good show. I have not watched the new Captain America with Sam Wilson because I hated what they did with Red Hulk. I think it's kind of
Okay.
And so I've just been on this constant ride of like, meh, whatever. Daredevil Born Again. It's pretty good. I like it so far. But I was really wondering with Thunderbolts if they were going to hit the reset button, and I think they did. They took their time. They toned it down in this movie. This is not a Thanos level threat. This is not a This is not on the grand scale in terms of conflicts as the Avengers movies. They took the time to scale their story down to a very human level, and it's something they have not done since Phase 3 or Phase 2 of Marvel, which was the post-Avengers era. The last time we had anything close to this movie was pretty much Captain America and the Winter Soldier. That is the closest comparison I can make in terms of really what this movie is in comparison to the rest of the Marvel franchise. It's a very self-contained story. It's focusing more on its characters than on the conflict. And it's so different from everything else that they've put out in recent years.
Okay.
It really, I thought, is this going to be them trying to reset? It felt like they really hit the reset button with this one, that they're going back to what made the original run of movies good, focusing on your characters, focusing on building their stories, telling a complete arc, trying to bring these characters full circle so that when you put them in a crossover movie, you don't need to focus on, the reason why Infinity War and Endgame were successful is that all these characters are close to the tail end of their character arcs, so you don't need to focus on them as much, so you can spend less time with them individually because you're more familiar with them. And that's what this movie is kind of doing as well. It's helping us get to that point with this cast of characters. There's still stories to tell, but if they appear in a crossover with other Marvel characters, then we've already seen enough out of them that we don't need to spend a whole lot of time exploring their stories. And that's what made the MCU so unique as it got bigger and grander. And this movie is doing it really well.
Okay. Mm-hmm. I don't disagree. I don't disagree with what you're saying.
Yeah.
Fundamentally, I think if there's any one concern that I have in this movie is that this movie works. I'll get to that thought in just a moment. This movie works and works well because of the writing.
Yep.
Because of how well written it is, and because it's a character study of individuals.
Yes.
And it works because these individuals are seriously flawed people.
Yes.
And for personal reasons, I always identify with the broken people, not the fixed people. And this movie focuses on 5 very broken people.
Yes.
And it does not give each character equal treatment.
No.
But it is a story of how you build a team from 5 very broken individuals.
Yes.
And if I may give one spoiler.
Oh, I mean, if we're going to get into spoilers, let's go. Let's go. I'll flash the warning. We're going to get into it. So if you haven't seen it and you don't want to get spoiled, go watch it now.
All right. So you've got 4 or 5 characters that are put together Yelena walks into a room, and I'm sitting next to your brother, and I said, "Oh, this is a suicide mission." I mean, she walks into the building. Clearly, that's what this is. And then you get a group of people who've all been assigned to eliminate each other.
Yep.
And these are top level assassins, and they figure it out, and they figure it out relatively quickly.
Yeah.
And these are not all necessarily likable people.
No,
I mean, let's face it.
we like the character of John Walker because he's unlikable, because he's kind of a giant asshole.
Oh, he is a giant asshole. Now, and really, of all those, so I didn't understand who the character was that did all the phase shifting.
Yeah, that was from Ant-Man and the Wasp.
Okay.
That was from the second Ant-Man movie. Ava, she's Ghost. She's from the second Ant-Man movie.
I gotta go back and rewatch that because I didn't remember that.
Yeah.
But anyways, I didn't recognize the actress, and she's an actress that I've enjoyed following, and I completely did not completely missed who it was. When I saw it in the credits, I was like, "Oh my god, that was her!" Which is always a good thing because I like the fresh faces.
Yeah.
But this is an established, successful actress, and it wasn't distracting from the performance in the role. I don't know much about her character. I don't know much about her backstory. I hope that maybe not in a standalone movie, but in a future movie, we get to explore her character a little bit more.
Yeah, I think they kind of established a little bit of like how she got her powers and stuff in the Ant-Man movie.
So I'll have to take a look at it. So I'll have to touch base. But anyway, so for me, that was kind of fresh. It's very hard for me sometimes to track. There's been so many movies.
Oh yeah, I mean we're closing in on if we're not already at that point. 30 movies in a
Is it really that much?
And then you got to include the TV shows.
Well,
that are now
you've got to,
and it's like there's just so much going on.
All of that overlapping. But so following these characters as they figure out, 1, if they want to be a team, and 2, how they're going to function as a team. And you find out they really don't like each other.
Yeah.
They're going to trust each other just enough to survive.
Yep.
But then they actually realize we've got to work together.
Yeah.
And so in that aspect, the formula of the coming of age that Marvel does so well, where the characters discover themselves and their powers, this movie was formulaic.
Yeah.
But that formula was buried so deeply underneath tremendous writing, tremendous acting, absolutely hysterical moments. The movie was funny, but it wasn't campy funny. It wasn't embarrassing humor. It was just extremely well done.
Yes.
And
the humor was quick. It was fast.
Yes, and it was smart.
Yep.
And it carried along. Now, I have been using names like Bob as a punchline in my writing for years, And here we have this character Bob who is just, I don't know who the actor is. The performance was incredible. So
that's not Sentry's name in the comics, if I remember correctly. That's not Sentry's name in the comics.
Okay.
But that actor played a character named Bob who had a very similar introduction in another movie, and he enjoyed it so much that he wanted to do it in this one. So they changed the character's name just to make that joke, which was It was brilliant. It was hilarious.
It's absolutely hysterical. And then, of course, the credits, Thunderbolts and Bob will return. I mean, they never stop delivering the one-liners clear through the final frame of the movie. Right, you know. So I really enjoyed that. So, you know, your brother made a fair point in the movie when we were talking afterwards. He said this guy could have snuffed Thanos.
So when you had your reaction, I'll clarify real quick. I'm talking about the scale of the threat. When I'm talking about all that, it's not a Thanos level threat. Thanos was a threat that brought together meta-narratively 50 plus characters together.
Yes.
Sentry was not that.
Yes.
Sentry is definitely one of the most powerful characters. He is. He's meant to be Marvel's Superman.
That's the comment I made in the theater.
Yes. He's supposed to be Marvel's Superman. Sentry / his alter ego, the Void. They are incredibly powerful.
His alter ego is the Void.
That's what it's called. Yes.
Okay.
That's what the
that whole bit about not remembering everything that took place.
His counterpart is his.
I thought
it's a Bruce Banner Hulk type scenario, except more literally his dark side. Quite literally.
I kind of thought he was bipolar. That was my.
It kind of is, yes.
Yeah,
I mean that kind of is what it.
Well, actually, it's a Jekyll Hyde. Yeah. It is a Jekyll Hyde.
I would say honestly, Bruce and Hulk are more Jekyll and Hyde because Jekyll and Hyde are so starkly different, whereas Void is just Bob's dark side.
Okay.
Made manifest and fighting to take control. Gotcha. Whereas the Hulk is a separate entity from Bruce. Jekyll is separate from Hyde. But it depends on because
there's a whole nother video to talk about that.
There's a whole different thing. I say that because Hulk Bruce Banner is entirely based on Jekyll and Hyde. Whereas Sentry is not.
Okay.
But in terms of, you know, outside of that narrative or whatever, it was really good.
I'm going to have to go back and reread Jekyll and Hyde now.
Yeah, I know. The Sentry always has been this powerful character ever since he was introduced.
Okay.
That had this dark side that he was very afraid to let out, and was this like perfect superhero. And I haven't read too much on him, but like he's been a part of some major stuff in the comics. So, but when I heard that Sentry was in the movie, which is pretty much all I knew about the movie, is that they were going to fight Sentry, I went, wrong team. Let's see how they do this. Let's see how they manage it. So when I walked in and I saw Yelena's opening sequence about being bored with her life and like she's going through the motions, and what a casual way to talk about and what literally everyone is going through.
The great line of "I needed that face."
Yeah.
Right.
And I knew where it was going. The minute she started talking about that, I was like, that's how they'll defeat Void. That's how they'll do it. So that made sense. And that's, of course, years and years of comic book knowledge that has accumulated into me knowing 90% of these characters before they appear.
But how they were going to defeat it became evident for me about halfway through the movie when I saw which way the threat was going.
Yes.
And then the answer was fairly obvious,
but it was really well done, and I'm not. That's
just it. It is so well done.
Not to take away from it. It's very well done, and they take a good amount of time with each of the characters to show, what's plaguing them.
Right.
Their void.
Right.
And how they're all trying to get over it together. Walker is used to fantastic effect in this movie.
Yes, he is.
And it's the benefit of Yelena had a movie and a TV show to get character development, right? Red Guardian had a movie. And he was the comic relief in that movie, too.
And let's just face it, that actor is just talented.
David Harbour is just fantastic. Yeah. And Walker got a series for us to know him. Ghost at least had a movie that she was in, so we weren't, dissimilar with her. So we really only had to introduce Bob, It's never gonna not be funny.
It's never gonna. Yeah, you're right.
You really only had to. So they had the benefit of these characters that are Walker, Yelena, and Guardian, and are very likable characters in terms of we're invested. People are invested in those characters.
Yes.
I'm really surprised at how little Bucky was in this movie. I thought this was going to be the Bucky Yelena show. I thought this was going to be Bucky and Yelena tag teaming. Bucky is barely in this movie. Comparatively, he has very few lines. They gave him his badassery back.
Yes, they
his
did.
Openings. I thank God, because I was my biggest gripe with Falcon and Winter Soldier is that he was kind of getting beat around a lot, and I'm just like, come on, man, you just oozed badassery in Captain America and the Winter Soldier. The catching of the shield is a top 10 Marvel moment. When that first dropped in the trailer, everyone went, what the? It was terrifying. It was awesome. And they gave him that vibe back, which was really good to see. He just rolls up on the motorcycle and it's just like...
How did you like the arm in the dishwasher?
It was in all the freaking trailers.
I never saw it.
I know you don't. I know you don't.
It was hysterical
for me because it was in the trailers. I knew it was coming.
I didn't see.
I was like, let's get past this.
I didn't see a single trailer.
Well, and then I saw like one trailer, like teaser trailer, and that's why I thought Bucky was going to be a bigger part of this movie.
Gotcha.
And he ended up being. Of course, it makes sense because Bucky is a great reflection of the other four. Because 5 with Bob, but Bucky is already in later stages of what they are starting to go through as their character. Because Bucky, he's not a healed man, but he's been through therapy. He has people to work with. He has people to work off of, and he's already a hero. They aren't heroes. He's been a hero.
Older?
Yep.
He's wiser.
Yep.
He has more experience.
Yes.
He has a great deal of Steve Rogers' moral compass.
Yes, he does.
And while he's still damaged, he's so much farther along the healing process
than they are.
That he's taking, and he's
he's
what? He's 125 in this movie.
He's over 90. He's so when they get into action to try to help people, it makes complete sense that Bucky's the one jumping in front of people and deflecting a truck off his arm. Yes, it's cool, obviously, but he's not skipping a beat. Everyone else is in a stunned shock, like, okay, let's help. And then Yelena and Guardian get into it because they don't do that. That's not what they've been doing.
Right.
Whereas it's such a good visual reinforcement of that idea.
We watch in the beginning of the battle all the different pieces of huge debris falling. And I saw this super large chunk of concrete falling through the air, and I said out loud, this is going to make the team. And I had it. It was right there.
The one
where they all come together and pick it up, It was really, it was kind of a cool moment, but you had to have something like that. You had to have something that made them gel, but they made it significant. But it really was just a beat in a bigger battle, which was really kind of fun. Performances, characterization, humor, all the right beats. Loved this movie.
It was really good.
I'm going to have to sit and I'm going to have to look at my top 5 of the Marvel universe.
Yeah.
Because I want to make sure that it's not just because it's the latest one on the block, but I honestly think they got their rhythm back.
I think I can tell you my 5 off, in no particular order. I could probably tell you my top 5 in one go.
Save it.
But
save it. We're going to cover this one later.
So here's my question: Is this a fresh start for Marvel?
Yes.
Have they hit the reset button? Are we back on track?
Yes. As long as they continue writing scripts and writing characterization as well as they do in this movie.
Okay. Next question. You saw the post-credit scene. Are you excited for what's coming next?
I did see the post-credit scene. Yes and no.
Okay. So here's the extra spoiler. If you haven't seen the post-credit scene, go watch that and come back.
So
post-credits.
We saw the trailer for the movie.
Yep.
Do we mention it or do we not mention it?
We're talking about Fantastic Four.
Fantastic Four. We see the trailer for Fantastic Four. And the interesting thing about the trailer for Fantastic Four, when I heard they were doing yet another Fantastic Four movie, I cringed. My absolute all-time favorite comic book group from childhood.
Yep.
I liked the very first one that they came out with, the one with Chris Evans in it, I did not understand why everybody hated it, but okay, they did, fine, whatever, and it went in all kinds of these different directions. But I'm afraid that Fantastic Four is going to be like Superman, where every time they make another movie, we go back and see how they were created and see, and we repeat
I don't think they're doing that in this one.
Well,
I don't think they're doing that in this one. I think they're already, like, the trailer made it seem like they're already established. Like, at least the trailer I saw was a dude talking about all these great things that they've done.
Right. So we have to see how that plays out. I'm skeptical. What I absolutely loved about the trailer was the costuming. And in the
60s vibe?
Yeah, the 60s vibe was what I grew up with. Right. So then we get to the end of Thunderbolts.
Did you grow up with Herbie?
The Love Bug?
No, the robot from Fantastic Four. Was he a part of the comics that you had read? Do you remember?
I don't remember.
Okay.
So I saw him on screen
Okay. Apparently he was a big part of them. Apparently.
So I was not...
It was one thing I wasn't familiar with because I was never a Fantastic Four person.
Well, I've told this story on camera before about how we read comic books and how few and far between they were. So I am not knowledgeable about the Fantastic Four. I'm not super knowledgeable about Marvel. I know, I remember them from my childhood.
Yeah.
I remembered what I liked. So then we see that teaser at the end of Thunderbolts, and you see that ship, and I said, okay, how are they going to pull this off? Is this a time travel bit? Is this a...
They said multiverse.
Okay.
They said interdimensional.
Okay, so
something. They said something.
Right.
So what they announced when they announced the Fantastic Four is that it's separate. It's not in the same timeline as the rest of the Marvel movies.
Okay.
It takes place completely out of... Because when they said it was like 60s, people were like, 60s? You mean when Ant-Man was running around? Like, wasn't Iron Man supposed to be the first hero?
Right.
Was kind of what Marvel had done. And then it realized, oh no, Hank Pym existed. Winter Soldier was running around. And Captain America existed too. And that's fine, but then people are like, there's no way Galactus showed up in the 60s and the Fantastic Four stopped him and then Iron Man's never heard of him. It was essentially their gripe, which I think they knew they couldn't get away with, so they did come out and say, hey, this is not taking place in the same universe as the rest of the Marvel stuff. So then people were like, well, what's kind of the point? And now with their plans moving forward, for the next set of Avengers movies, it may only make sense that you would bring the Fantastic Four to the MCU eventually, but if you start them in a different universe...
Multiverse is just a catchy way of saying reboot, and it all depends on how they handle it.
Give it like 10 years, you can have all these new characters come back.
So the couple thoughts. Let's move back because this conversation, like all of ours, just goes all over the place. Bob battling versus himself. A concept that's been done over and over again in the movies. This was done well. It wasn't distracting. It wasn't anything new and novel. It provided the opportunity for the ending that we kind of knew was going to happen.
Yeah.
It was fun to see. It was necessary. It was good. Right. There's a character missing from this movie that I wanted to see, and I realized early on in the movie I wanted to see, and she didn't show up in the movie. But the reason why I wanted to see her show up kind of unrelated to this whole storyline. I wanted to see Kate Bishop. I really wanted to see, and here's why, and I'll tell you why.
Yelena Kate, like that.
The Yelena Kate relationship is just freaking incredible, and the fact that those two pulled it off in that series as well as they did, and the whole conversation about hot sauce and macaroni and cheese was so funny and well done. The elevator fight, is everything. Those two need to be together on screen again.
Yes.
And Kate isn't quite as broken as the people that were in this movie.
No, so she wouldn't have fit alongside them.
But she could have, because she would be like Bucky, a little healthier. But if you had that relationship on screen, even for a little bit, and considering it took place in New York, where's Kate? She would have been a delight.
I know, yeah, that's the big thing. Where's Daredevil? Where's Spider-Man?
Right.
Where's the new Hawkeye? Where's, where's Kamala Khan? Although I think technically that's Jersey,
Yeah, but anyway, that was the character, but it was all because they worked so well together in the TV series.
Yes,
I absolutely loved it.
I think they're trying to do Sam is going to create a new the Avengers. He's going to lead the Avengers. These guys are
the B-rated,
the new Avengers,
right? And
then Kate's going to lead the Young Avengers.
Ah, gotcha.
Because those are actual. There's like 5 Avengers teams. Let me see if I can get them all right. So you got the OG Avengers.
Right.
You got the Dark Avengers. You've got the New Avengers. You've got the Young Avengers. And you have the West Coast Avengers. Oh, Great Lakes Adventures. I forgot about them. There's the Great Lakes branch. That's 6. Yeah. Bonus.
Is it like the boot camp, Great Mistakes?
Probably. I don't know. I never read it. Yeah. So they. Yeah. So I can see kind of what they're doing with. Honestly, I thought it was going to be the. I thought they would be the Dark Avengers instead of the New Avengers. Honestly, I thought it would, because it's more closely tied to it. So Thunderbolts is essentially Marvel's Suicide Squad. It was named after General Thunderbolt Ross, and then they became the Dark Avengers when the Green Goblin takes over.
I lost my train of thought when I was talking about the Bob versus himself fight.
Yeah.
I lost my train of thought.
Yep.
Okay, so let me go back to that because I finally got it. You were talking about how we need to go see the new Superman movie.
I do want to go see the new Superman movie.
You made the reference that it's kind of like closer maybe in feel to the Christopher Reeve.
I don't know,
right?
Did you see a trailer for it?
I did see the trailer for it.
Okay, doesn't it kind of, it's brighter, it's the font reminded me of the Christopher Reeve.
I'll go see it for the purposes of the channel, but I couldn't care less because if I have to see his origin story one more time, I will vomit.
I don't think it's his origin story.
I hope not.
I think they've learned their lesson. They didn't do it with Tom Holland's Spider-Man.
Okay.
They didn't do it with the Robert Pattinson Batman.
Okay.
All right. They barely did it with Ben Affleck's Batman, and on a technicality.
If the shot was of Superman talking to his dad, was the fat old guy on the farm, I'm like, ooh, they finally captured an American farmer in the Midwest, because it's not John Schneider,
Yeah.
This is a guy who looks like he eats too much Entenmann's in the evening and gets up late in the morning and goes out and plows the field. I liked it. It was very honest.
Okay.
But I'll be totally honest with you, that was my one bright spot of that trailer. I couldn't have cared less. And I'm sorry, when Superman walks up to Black Adam and says, "We gotta talk," that's the character I want to see more of. They so screwed up by relieving Henry Cavill of his duties as Superman, and they had so much more to do with an incredible actor. It's just like, I can't do a double finger salute to DC right now or say what I want to say, but I mean, it just kind of sucks the wind out of the room, and it's like, what's the point? What jackwagon decided that he needed to be fired.
The same guy who directed two of your favorite Marvel movies.
I don't have to like him all the time.
James Gunn.
Yeah.
Because it was a mess at that point.
Well, so...
It was a mess. They were never going to recover DC in the state it was in. They were never going to recover DC in this.
Okay, you know how...
That's a debate for a different video.
You know Bond rebooted...
This isn't Bond.
No, just wait. Just listen to me. Listen to me. Just let me finish. They rebooted between
Dench.
Between Pierce Brosnan and
Craig
and Daniel Craig, and they kept Judi Dench as M. You can do that. You could reboot and keep one actor. Can you think of a better Superman to keep?
No. Maybe. Yes, I can. Actually, I like the TV one. I actually like the TV one better. The guy who's been doing it on TV.
Haven't seen it. I'll reserve judgment.
But I'm going to at least give David Cornsweet an opportunity.
I will go in with an open mind.
Yeah. Thunderbolts.
Anyways, no. We got sidetracked like we normally do. The battle between Bob and himself reminded me of the third Christopher Reeves movie.
Okay.
Superman's battle against his evil side. You know, and I took a look at it and I said, "This is the same concept, but Thunderbolts did it better."
Yeah.
It did.
Oh yeah.
It just flat out did it better.
Yeah.
You know.
Okay. Yeah.
That was my thought. Probably took like
thought.
15 minutes of screen time to get to my thought. Anyway, Thunderbolts, go see it. Loved it.
It was really good. And if we want Marvel to continue to make good stuff like this, we need to go watch it. But I think it's doing really well. Oh, also, pleasantly surprised they killed off that shitty version of Taskmaster.
Oh,
I was so pleasantly surprised. That was their apology to the fans for effing that up. Apparently, there was a storyline where Taskmaster survived, and kept trying to kill Walker, after they would have relapse and keep trying to kill Walker, which is kind of funny.
Okay,
but at the same time, I'm like,
where did we see Taskmaster before?
Black Widow. She was the agent that was fighting in Black Widow.
Okay, gotcha.
In the Black Widow movie.
I remember.
Yeah, a lot of people weren't happy with that.
Did Yelena put the bullet in her?
No, I think Ghost did. I think Ava did.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Thunderbolts, go watch it. It's worth it. I am pleasantly surprised that David Harbour survived this movie. I'm pleasantly surprised that I thought he would die. I kind of anticipated it.
And in fact, I'll tell you what, my only real complaint in the characterization and the storyline, they had a television sitcom wrap up to the relationship struggle between Yelena and her dad. Mm-hmm. It takes place on a corner in New York City in the middle of battle, and suddenly she goes from all this resentment to, "Oh, Daddy." It was just a little too fast, but that's not the focus of the movie, and so they kind of moved past it. But man, if that's my biggest complaint, I really have nothing to complain about. All right. That's it. That's all I got.
That's it. That's all we wrote.
Thank you for tuning in to this episode of Pork Chops, Rice, and Peaches. If you like what you see, hit the subscribe button and tune in for more. We have got 4 years worth of material. You might find something you like.
Or you might not.
Leave your comments down below. We love getting viewers' comments, and I do my best to respond to all of them.
Thanks, and we'll see you next time.